I was going to tell Yasser it's past his bedtime, but it probably isn't. Yeah. Go, Yasser. All I want to know is Yasser familiar with the intro to my stream where I imitate Yasser? That's all I want to know. That is Yasser, by the way. Yeah. I was hoping for a Ben bedtime story. That's true. I do have some bedtime stories, but it's not bedtime here. Where you are, it's probably bedtime. Where's my, here we go. Ben bedtime story. I can tell Yasser stories. No. I have an intro to my stream that's a video, and half of it I'm imitating you. I don't know if you've ever seen that. It's not a troll, it's Yasser. It's 100% not a troll. Yeah. That is Yasser. Yeah. It's a 1,000,000% Yasser. Unless it's 2,000,000%. It could be 2,000,000% Yasser. Man, that's a lot of Yasser. You're missing out? Yeah. Now, in my opinion, which most people don't agree with on my stream, Naroditsky does a better Yasser. And the reason is Naroditsky does a better everybody. I think Naroditsky is better at Kasparov than Kasparov is. I think if I was listening to Kasparov and I was listening to Naroditsky and I didn't know which was which, I might pick Naroditsky as Kasparov. Yeah, Naroditsky is better than me. But, yeah. Who does the best Naroditsky? Yay, Chess Dojo Live rated. Thanks for the raids, people. Yeah. Now, Yasser, we closed the chess center, so I'm streaming from my basement. But we have a big basement, so. And we're just doing Twitch and YouTube now. But you still have to come and, hang out. All right, so Yasser wants a bedtime story. It has to be a Yasser story. Otherwise, it's not a good story. Yasser was in an elevator once. These are Yasser stories. Yasser was in an elevator once with a good friend of his. And then the elevator door opened, and this couple came on, man and woman, and they were very attractive, especially the woman, And the guy was like African American, 6'4", all muscle. And she was, like pretty. And Yasser looked at his friend, and his friend is like 5'2". His friend's not tall. And he says, "Hey, you beat the shit out of that guy, and I'm going to take his girlfriend." And the guy was like, "What?" And then then they all laughed. So, yeah. Although Yasser never told the end of the story, which is his friend did beat the shit out of the guy, and Yasser did take his girlfriend. He never tells that part of the story. Never. Terrible. Anyway, that was a good bedtime story. Oh, you said I need a favor? That is a good... Yeah, I don't remember the details so much. That would be a good favor. Yeah. That is true. And so forth. Yes, sir. The thing that my stream is most interested in, because about 40% of my stream is people on my stream talking about you. It's nothing to do with me or chess or the World Championship. They have Yasser questions. And one of the things that they ask a lot about Yasser, this is your number one Yasser thing, is video where there's a fight between Hikaru and Eric, and you're in the doorway like, being very calm and saying, this is going to happen, and I don't know if I'm going to give Hikaru his stuff back. Everybody thought that was great. The fact that you guys just didn't care that they were fighting in front of the chess house. Yeah, that's what they want to know, like, did you ever steal any of Yasser's stuff? That was hilarious, yeah. And so forth.
Yeah, we already went through this.
Let's look at his game with Ivanchuk, because why not?
Yeah.
Gotta look at something.
Definitely.
Well, I gotta move this here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like his game with Ivanchuk. We have to talk about the game that he won, not the other games we're not going to talk about. Yeah, that looks right. God damn, it's the first game I looked at. View. That game didn't last very long. 1997. Man, Ivanchuk was good in 97. Unless he played Yasser, then he wasn't as good. Let's see, live chess. And then how do I get an analysis board? That's not it. That's not it. I got one. I'm not as dumb as my best testing indicates. All right, now don't blink, because Yasser wins really fast. Yeah, so get careful. All right, Yasser's white against Ivanchuk in 1997, before half of you were born. It's true, about half of them, yeah. Yeah, Yasser's white, Ivanchuk plays the King's Indian. Okay, now Yasser was playing bishop d3, knight ge2 a lot, and Gregory Serper was playing knight e2, knight g3 a lot. And we know who's better, so yeah. Yeah, Yasser liked to do that. Okay, so he's got the space. F3, never play F3. Solid. Yeah, and he's trying to control C5 and play F5. So, yeah, truth hurts. So this gives me a bad memory, Yasser, this bishop h6 move. You see how Ivanchuk hung his bishop, then he resigned? Mm-hmm. Right, except obviously he didn't hang his bishop, it's Ivanchuk. So, Yasser, when I was 12, I was rated like 2040, and I was playing Thomas Mazachovsky, who was like 2200. And I don't remember the exact position, but you know, it'll be similar to the exact position. I used to play the same-ish. It's all the same-ish to me. And I don't remember the move order, but what I do remember was he played this and this. I do remember that. Okay. And I think he played 98, but I'm not sure. And I played this. And that's the first chapter of my book, Cry Like a Grandmaster. What did he do?
What did he do?
Yeah, that's bad. And I should feel bad. Yasser's game reminded me of a game when I was 12. Damn. Harsh. Mm-hmm. See, now in the Yasser game, okay, in this position, he played bishop h6. Why doesn't that lose a whole piece? Why not? Why can't Yasser just take this and be up a piece?
I'm not sure.
Takes. How does black get his piece back?
Oh yeah, there's a check.
Queen h4 check. Never play F3 when your piece back. So in my game, with whatever his name is, Thomas Mazachovsky, also known as the Maz, when I played here, yeah, he played there, and then I lose a bishop.
Oh yeah.
It's the same except, you know. Now, there's a variation in the King's Indian where it's like bishop g5, and then they play h6, and if you take on h6, they play knight takes e4 and queen h4. I mean, they're begging you to play here. Okay, but Yasser, he didn't fall for no banana in the tailpipe. Okay, so Yasser played queen d2, and they traded c6, and so forth. So he's playing very strategically Ivanchuk. He's like, my dark square bishop's bad. Hopefully Gufel didn't see this game, otherwise. And Yasser's bishop is bad, so I did good. Okay. However, as Yasser would point out, there's a timing issue in chess. Okay. Yasser has all of his pieces out and can castle either way, and Yasser likes to have more space. Yasser's pawn's on d5. Okay. And Yasser and I were going to share a room once, and he's like, I need more space. I mean, so he just, yeah. That's all made up, but it's still funny. And also, these pieces suck and blow at the same time. So even though if black makes 20 moves in a row, he's strategically better, it's not his turn. And he's, okay. So obviously black's not going to castle king side, queen side, because it would be illegal to ever do so. So Yasser said, well, you're also not going to castle king side. And then Yasser's going to open the center and say,
Gotcha, bitch.
Gotcha, bitch. Right. Okay. So Ivanchuk played, you know, the positional attacking Yasser's bishop. Yasser saw it, defended his bishop. Queen b6, attacking Yasser's pawn, or so he thought. Always retreat. And then he played king e7. Terrible. Boo, boo, king e7. That does, whoa. King e7 does defend the d pawn. Right, so if I take this, I can't play rook takes d6. Also, when his bishop moves, his rooks are connected. So like if queen g7, for example, he could move his bishop and his rooks defend each other. So Ivanchuk thought he was the greatest, right? Now, unfortunately, Ivanchuk couldn't find the resign button because they weren't playing on the internet. Okay, Yasser played f4, and this is an unusual kind of crushing win from Yasser. Usually, Yasser has the king on e7. He's not the one checkmating the king on e7. And in fact, one of my favorite Yasser games, I already forgot who he was playing. It was one of those blocked Benoni games, and it was all blocked up, and Yasser left his king in the center and crushed the guy on the king side. Damn, I forgot who he was playing. I've shown that game before. But, all right, nobody can remember. Okay, so Yasser played f4 because he's going to checkmate Ivanchuk. And Ivanchuk took, terrible, rook f1. Notice, if he castles, he's walking into discovered check. So he just played rook f1. Rook f1 reminds me of in 1990 in Reykjavik when I played rook f1 against Vladimir Tukmakov. And do you know why I won that game? Because the Ukraine is weak. Yeah. I played rook f1. It was a Dutch. Yasser was at that tournament. He was playing for the U.S. team in the Nordic countries, the U.S., England, and Russia. Those were the four teams. And we ate once at Pizza Who's Sid with Yasser and Benjamin and Brown and me and like 5 other people. That was fun. Yeah. There's some funny stories from that dinner, by the way. I played Yasser in the Blitz tournament there. Yasser won the Blitz tournament. It had like 900 grandmasters. And Yasser won, and I came in 3rd. I had just become an IM. I mean, there were grandmasters everywhere. Like, I fell and hit my head. I tripped over 2 grandmasters. That's how many grandmasters there were. Right. Brown kept saying, I want this, and I want that, and I want this. And the waitress is like, all right, leave me alone. You know, because he wanted everything. Yeah. And then a song was written by Queen after they were there. They weren't famous then. They were there watching Brown order, and they wrote a song. I want it all. I want it all, and I want it now. And then Walter sued them successfully. Right? Okay. So this king's not good. And this isn't good, and this isn't good, and this isn't good, and this isn't good. But Yasser, he's got the rook, he's got the queen, he's got the knight. Here comes e5, right? Because he's got his rook here. So he's got a lot of attacking force. This king has nothing. Okay, Ivanchuk played rook f8. That's the engine move. Queen f4. Now, Yasser's got 2 pieces on the d-pawn, 1 for each of you, and queen f6 check, and e5. Now, this is equal material because I said so, right? And the engine says Yasser's up 5. When it's equal material and you're up 5, that's like half of the Carlsen Nepo games. Okay, so f6. Boo, boo. Okay, and Yasser looked right at Ivanchuk and said, don't you know Ben's never play f6? And then Ivanchuk's like, I don't think Ben made that rule yet. And Yasser's like, come on, Ben's going to, come on. And then Ivanchuk's like, yeah, I guess. Okay, so he crashes on through. Now Yasser's threatening queen takes pawn check and knight d5 check, both with advantage. Yeah? Okay, so Ivanchuk played queen takes, stopping them both. Knight d4. You can't play queen here or queen here because knight d5 check wins your queen. Okay, you agree, right? So he played here. God damn. Knight d5 check. Now remember, Ivanchuk is black.
Yeah.
That's the worst position in the history of everything. Every white piece is perfect. Yeah. Now, I always say, always play bishop f1. Okay? And Yasser's bishop b1 is the same. We're the same, you and me. We're not the same. I'm an American, and you're some lunatic, crazy. That's from Falling Down. I mean, that's a great scene when he says, we're the same. And Michael Douglas says, we're not the same. Remember that? The Army-Navy guy? That guy's great.
At the store.
That guy's the genius. That guy's a genius actor, the unknown actor. Okay. Now, Right. So the reason bishop b1 is good is the bishop is fine there. Nothing wrong with that. But more importantly, the bishop isn't getting in the way of white's pieces. There's a lot of squares the bishop could be on, and you're like, get that bishop out of there so my other pieces can do stuff. Right. Okay, so king d8, setting up for the next game if it's 960. If it's not 960. Okay. Queen takes d6 check. Bishop d7, and then Yasser played knight b5. Now, some of you are wondering, why doesn't he play queen takes e4 check? Like 10% of you are wondering that. And that's because Yasser's bishop is on b1. Oh, snap. So my question is, what's worse, Ivanchuk's position or the final position of Ivanchuk-Kasparov, where Kasparov's pieces were all huddled in the king side and couldn't move? See, the Kasparov one is more amazing because Kasparov doesn't lose like that. That's not how Kasparov loses, except that game he did. So Ivanchuk has like one of the greatest wins ever and one of Yasser's most crushing defeats ever. Now, Yasser, that was 22 moves. Have you ever beaten someone who was top 5, top 10 in the world like that, son? Because that's not a usual, yeah. And now it's plus 12. So Ivanchuk resigned, and then some. Let's see what Yasser has to say. He says, oh yeah, I win like that all the time. Yeah, if I told you black was Ivanchuk, you would think like this is a blitz game, but you'd be wrong. Yeah. The game with Yasser was pretty boring. I've played Yasser several times. But the good thing about the Yasser game was I learned in this pawn structure that I had with f5 and d5 that I should play king h8, knight g8, knight f6, which I've done on stream many times. And then my knight gets good, etc. I did a nice job versus Korchnoi. But you've beaten Korchnoi more than once. Philipson drew with London. Was that a Bogo Indian? That's my recollection. But if it was 80 years ago, then I could be wrong. Yeah, very good trying to learn. Yeah. Reverse Benko. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember that game. All right, we'll do whatever Yasser says because he's better than me. Korchnoi, and then Hanoi Hilton. Seirawan, Phillips. Good enough. Let's see. No, that's the game that Yasser lost in the U.S. Open. I was there at that game. The 83 U.S. Open in Pasadena. Man, Korchnoi was good in 83. God damn. That's funny because Yasser went there to work with Korchnoi.
Yeah.
It was canceled, and then he played Korchnoi in the U.S. Open. Yeah, truth hurts. I thought I got rid of this. I did. Okay. 1980. No, yes. See, Yasser has played Korchnoi 100 million times, so it's hard to find. It says Yasser was born March 24. Okay. Korchnoi, 1980. Do you know what year it was, Yasser? Was it 82 or 83?
You won with black.
No, I know. I'm just, I need to, The problem is some places spell Korchnoi differently.
You can use chess base too.
Terrible. Yasser, why are you always black against Korchnoi? What's wrong with you? Start having white. Okay, it wasn't that game. Wasn't that game. It was that game. I found it. It was in Philipson Drew, London, 1984. Yeah. Annotations by Orwell. Wow. Did you know that?
What?
Annotations by Orwell.
Orwell.
Yeah, it was 1984.
Oh.
Yeah, it's
George.
yeah, of course. Yeah. Okay, Yasser's black. The more you donate, the more Yasser will come to the stream. All right. Yasser's black against Korchnoi. This game doesn't last very long either. All right, now close your eyes because I know what Yasser played next. Now, I remember before Yasser was born, and Yasser's older than me, so it's hard to understand. There was a game in the Informator, which we used to be like the Bible for us. Then we became atheists, so we don't read. And Mihai Shuba, your favorite Romanian GM, and I lost to a Romanian GM last night, 8 in a row, but then I beat him. Nobody beats me 400 games in a row. Is A3, and he wrote A3 exclamation mark. Okay, so Korchnoi played B4. Yasser wanted to play E5, but didn't like the fact that it was hanging, so he played F6. And now Korchnoi was so confused, he couldn't even play the rest of the game. D3, E5. Now, to be fair to Yasser, he did think they were playing Connect 4, and he thought this would be the winning move, but he got it in first. Because, white wins in Connect 4, the person who goes first. So Victor could have played here and possibly claimed a draw. But he played A3? Yeah. This looks like the pawn structure Yasser had against Ivanchuk. Because it is. Mm-hmm. That's why it looks like it. Because it is. Yeah. Connect 5. There you go. Yasser knows what's up. Okay, so now this is a reverse Benko. In a normal Benko with F3, white plays knight here and then puts this knight over here. But he's a tempo down from that, so he played something else. Mm-hmm. I've had these kinds of positions a lot because I play F3 in the Benko. So I've had similar, with an extra tempo. All right. So Yasser's being a pawn grubber. He gives up the white squares. He gives up the 2 bishops. He puts his bishop behind all his pawns, and he says, I'm a pawn up. Now, Yasser did everything he could that wasn't good in chess to be a pawn up, but you guys at home, you know who you are. You're like, why doesn't Nepo play the King's Gambit? And why does he play this Gambit? And why doesn't he play what's that stupid knight C6 that Rosen likes? In the Petrov, knight C6.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, why isn't he playing the fried liver? Why doesn't he play the Stafford?
Yeah.
So you guys are like, why aren't these super GMs giving all their pawns and pieces away in the opening? Well, Korchnoi gave a pawn away in the opening. As a consequence, he got the 2 bishops, the white squares, and then he lost in 5 moves. So giving all your pawns away, maybe it's not good. Okay, let's have a look. Bishop D5, that's a really bad move. God, terrible. E4. Takes. Yeah. So white's down a pawn, and all of white's pieces are on the first rank. And he gave up his white squared bishop. So bishop D5, E4, very suspicious. Queen check. Yasser's like, let me play the pawn up endgame. And he says no. I mean, this is just awful play from Korchnoi. Queen here check, and then queen B3. Yeah, that's just, ridiculous. Terrible. B5, good. H3's hanging, good. See, white's position's pretty good. So far, this has been, I'd rather have black here than white in your position, when you were winning. But okay, obviously I like them both. Man, Korchnoi played Rook B1. Come on, man. Jesus Christ. He didn't like losing all of his pawns. But still, H5, god damn. I like the way Yasser pushes all his pawns on both sides of the board. And that black can't move. Or white can't move. Somebody. You got the V formation for victory. Good. So Victor played the groveling Queen G2. Let's see what happens when he plays for active play, threatening the bishop and the rook, right? Mm-hmm. Now in this position, black has one move that wins, and every other move loses. Actually, no, one move draws. What's the winning move for black? There's only one winning move. Just one.
Let's see.
It's plus 10 for black. The other moves are no good.
The winning move for black is, I don't know, maybe H takes G3.
Right. Yeah, that's plus 10.
Okay.
Here's something that Yasser will laugh about. If Yasser plays here, which looks completely winning.
I did it.
This looks completely winning, right?
Yeah.
Now, Korchnoi plays the insane tactic, knight takes b5, threatening this, and this rook is overworked. And white's completely winning here. But he learned from the Ivanchuk game, like, not good for your king to be here. Right. If Yasser takes this way, his queen defends his rook, and he threatens unlimited number of mates. So white has to take this to not get mated. Right. Okay, so Korchnoi played queen g2. Now, if you were paying attention, you would know how many moves Korchnoi's made with his queen. You still wouldn't know. Played queen here, and queen here, and queen here, and queen here, and still lost. Okay. Now, one thing I've taught my students for years, and they don't listen, is you've had teachers tell you exchange pieces when you're up material. Here, Yasser's up a clear pawn. He's a pawn up for nothing, and he's better. So your teachers like trade queens, you're up a pawn, you win. When you trade queens, the only thing that matters is whose king is safer. And it's not this one. Yasser didn't play h4 not to checkmate his opponent. This king is the safest king ever. White could never attack that king, except in the variation I gave earlier, which lost in one move. Yasser plays here for the obvious reason. He wants Korchnoi to play f3. He's like, I dare you, I double dare you, right? Always play f3. Okay, and he played gh4, terrible. Rook takes h4. Now you might be saying, why is Yasser trading queens when I just said not to? Because Yasser's going to move his king and play rook h8 checkmate with advantage. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's the main reason why. Here's a really funny variation. After this, instead of playing this checkmate, it doesn't work. I mean, it wins, because after king here, the rook's attacked. So there's no mate. So here's a funny engine line. Knight takes d5. And here's the reason. If you take it, I said if. Now when I play the same mate, I play f5 defending my rook, threatening mate, because there's no pawn here to take it.
Okay.
So if you don't take on d5, though, Yasser's up another pawn, and here comes knight c3, knight b4, knight f4, Papa John's. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So Korchnoi played.
Cool.
Korchnoi played. Wait, what happened? Queen g2, queen g4 takes. Rook
You said
takes.
knight d5 is the game?
Wait, Yasser did play knight takes d5.
That's what
God
you said.
damn. I didn't know you played that. I was just showing the engine line.
That was so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, because king h3 is the only defense, and then if f5, you take it. So Yasser took this, and he said, okay, take it.
That's pretty badass.
Right. So now Korchnoi played knight takes b5, confusing the audience. Korchnoi's like, would you take my knight so your rook doesn't checkmate me on the a file? He said it really nicely, too. So, you know. Now, Yasser wasn't having any of it. Okay, and let me tell you why. Yasser wasn't giving Korchnoi a draw, even though they were like that. And the reason is he was getting Korchnoi back for having him sleep in his bed when obviously he would be killed in the bed. That's why. So they were going to kill Korchnoi in his bed, and Korchnoi said, Yasser, you can sleep in my bed. Yeah, that happened.
I remember you telling this.
Yeah. So Yasser's like, oh, I could sleep in your bed and be killed? How about I kill you first? God damn. Okay, so Yasser moved his king up for obvious reasons. Okay, he wants to play rook h8 mate with advantage. That's a good move. Okay, so he played king h3 because he has to. Okay, now after f5, watch this thinking. Because the knight's on d5, okay, if you take it, because the rook's not defended, now you defend it. Now, if you can stop this, you're a better player than I am. Right. So after f5, Korchnoi resigned. Yeah. Then a book was written about this game because Korchnoi was so upset, and he called it Korchnoi complaint. What percentage of the chat gets that? 5%? Nah, less. 3%. Pi percent. Yeah.
They might get it.
So which game do you guys like better, this game or the Ivanchuk game? Now here's the problem, Yasser. The people in my chat, they're not over the age of 40, 50, 60, so they don't know a lot about Korchnoi. They just heard he was good. Hey, he was good. I heard about him. Ivanchuk is more recent. So they're like, man, you beat Ivanchuk? Wow, that's pretty good. Yeah, also had a nice game with Karpov. You've played Karpov 78 times. Is the game that you're referring to the one where he sacrificed a piece in the opening and then you were up a piece so you won? Is that the game you're talking about? In Sweden, that has to be Skellefteå, right? Or Skellefteå or something.
Wait, where are you reading? What?
Yeah. C4, D4, E4, F4. Oh, that game I don't know. I don't know that game. Yeah, Sweden 89 is the World Cup. Yeah. First pronunciation was correct. I can't pronounce. Oh, Haninga. Haninga, that's... Okay, let me explain that to you.
Hey, Louis.
There was a tournament there, and Kasparov won all his games with white, except against Joel Benjamin. He was the only one who drew him. And Joel said he made more money from that tournament than the rest of the year because they had good appearance fee, good prizes, great hotel. And not Haninga. Damn. And yeah, I think Haninga is in like Switzerland. But anyway, as Yasser won against Carlsen, Carlsen wasn't even born when Yasser retired. Come on, give him a break. I've made the Portnoy's complaint joke too many times. No, they don't. No, they never get it. Never. Yeah.